Listen carefully, because what you are about to hear is not motivation, not religion, not poetic exaggeration, and not a story designed to make you feel temporarily special. This is a revelation meant to dismantle what you thought you knew about yourself, about goodness, about power, and about why certain things in your life unfolded the way they did. Somewhere deep inside you, there has always been a quiet awareness that you are different, not louder, not more visible, not more perfect, but different in a way that is difficult to explain. You've felt it in moments when your reactions didn't match the cruelty around you, when your heart refused to harden even after it had every reason to, when your inner compass stayed steady while others lost themselves. What you didn't know is that this way of being is not neutral in the unseen realms. It is not unnoticed. It is not passive. It is not small. It is one of the rarest forces operating in the universe right now, and it caused a reaction that almost never happens. Not a gentle acknowledgement, not silent approval. A rupture in the spiritual order so intense that it forced absolute attention. What happened was not emotional. It was authoritative. Because when true integrity remains intact under sustained pressure, it creates urgency in realms that do not respond to surface behavior. And while you may have spent years believing your quiet consistency went unseen, the truth is that it became impossible to ignore. Right now, you may feel the instinct to disqualify yourself, to assume this must be meant for someone more disciplined, more faithful, more publicly moral. That instinct itself reveals something important about you. You never saw your way of being as currency. You never treated your character as leverage. You never believed kindness was something that made you powerful. And that misunderstanding is exactly why your attitude carried so much weight. Because the most influential forces in existence are not impressed by performance. They respond to coherence. They respond to alignment. They respond to essence that does not fracture when conditions change. You were never being measured by what you did on your best day. You were being observed across time, in repetition, in pressure, in moments where no one would have blamed you for becoming something harder, colder, sharper, more defensive. And yet, again and again, you chose not to betray yourself. Here is the distinction that almost no one understands, and because they don't understand it, they never access the level of power you've been operating in without knowing it. Actions are isolated, they can be influenced, they can be strategic, they can be transactional. Attitude is continuous. It is who you are when there is no incentive to behave well. It is how you treat others when there is no reward for doing so. It is how you speak to yourself when no one hears. It is how you hold your values when holding them costs you something tangible. An action can be admired. An attitude defines identity. And identity is what the unseen realms respond to, because identity cannot be faked for long. Eventually, pressure reveals truth, and your truth did not collapse. You endured seasons where life seemed to test one specific thing repeatedly, whether you would finally justify becoming bitter, whether you would finally use pain as permission to abandon compassion, whether you would finally decide that integrity was too expensive. And each time, without making announcements, without seeking applause, you quietly stayed yourself. You didn't stay soft because you were unaware. You stayed soft because you were anchored. You understood something instinctively that many never learn, that becoming corrupted in response to corruption does not make you stronger, it makes you controlled. And that understanding is rare. When this pattern became undeniable, something shifted. Not symbolically, structurally. Because when an essence proves itself stable under prolonged adversity, it becomes strategically significant. It becomes something that must be protected, not because it is fragile, but because it is irreplaceable. And that is when attention intensified. Not curiosity, intervention-level attention. Because purity that survives suffering becomes a resource, a stabilizing force, a counterweight in systems that are tilting toward collapse. There is a reason the pressure on you was not random. It wasn't evenly distributed. It wasn't proportional to what you did. It targeted who you were. The moments that hurt the most were not the ones that challenged your abilities. They were the ones that challenged your nature. Betrayals that tempted you to distrust everyone. Injustices that tempted you to abandon fairness. Losses that tempted you to withdraw emotionally. You were being tested at the level of essence, not behavior. And the fact that you remained internally consistent is what triggered escalation in the unseen. Because consistency under suffering cannot be argued with. It cannot be reframed. It cannot be dismissed as luck or image management. It stands on its own. What you need to understand now is that opposition does not always appear because you are weak. Sometimes it appears because you are uncontaminated. Light that cannot be distorted becomes disruptive to systems that depend on distortion. Integrity that does not bend becomes dangerous to structures built on compromise. And when something threatens a system simply by existing unchanged, that system will attempt to neutralize it. That is why the attacks you faced often felt excessive, out of proportion, as if someone was trying not just to hurt you, but to rewrite you. They were. And yet, they failed. That failure created a moment of absolute silence where there is usually constant noise. Because accusation depends on leverage. It depends on cracks. It depends on hypocrisy. It depends on inconsistency. When those are absent, the mechanism fails. And when the mechanism fails, authority shifts. Not loudly, definitively. You didn't win because you fought. You won because you didn't become something you weren't. That is a different kind of victory, one that doesn't announce itself but changes the rules around it. From that moment forward, your presence began to carry a different weight. You may have noticed subtle changes before understanding why. Situations resolving themselves without escalation. Conflicts dissolving before reaching you. Certain people drifting away without confrontation. Others being drawn to you without explanation. This is not coincidence. When alignment is confirmed, resources reorganize around it. Protection becomes automatic. Guidance becomes clearer. Resistance loses efficiency. Not because you are untouchable, but because touching you requires a level of justification that no longer exists. This does not mean your life will become effortless. It means it will become supported. There is a difference. Support does not remove challenges. It prevents corruption through them. It ensures that what you build does not cost you yourself. And that is the kind of success that matters in realms that think long-term. You are not being prepared for a moment. You are being preserved for influence. There are others like you. Fewer than you think. More than you've been led to believe. They are not obvious. They are not loud. They do not dominate conversations with moral superiority. They are often misunderstood, often underestimated, often assumed to be naive, and yet they carry the same quiet resilience you do. When you encounter them, there will be recognition without explanation, a sense of familiarity that doesn't rely on shared history. That recognition is not emotional, it is structural. Aligned essences recognize each other. When these individuals begin to connect, not through hierarchy but through mutual respect, something shifts at scale. Because integrity multiplied does not add, it amplifies. Systems that rely on exploitation weaken. Environments that normalize dishonesty destabilize. This is why isolation was encouraged around you for so long. Not because you were meant to be alone, but because you were meant to be delayed. Delay is one of the most effective ways to neutralize impact without confrontation. It almost worked. But now awareness has arrived. And awareness changes how power is expressed. You no longer need to guess why certain patterns existed in your life. You no longer need to wonder whether staying true to yourself was a mistake. It wasn't. It was preparation. And what comes next is not reward in the simplistic sense. It is alignment between who you are and what you are given to steward. In the coming period, you will notice doors opening that do not require you to compromise. Opportunities that fit instead of forcing adaptation. Relationships that do not drain you to prove your worth. Stability that does not require self-betrayal. This is not luck, it is calibration. Life adjusting to integrity instead of testing it. And while you may still face resistance, it will no longer have the same access. The entry points are closed. Your responsibility now is simple, but not easy. Remain consistent consciously. You are no longer operating on instinct alone. You understand the impact of your inner posture. You understand that how you choose to be is not private. It echoes. When you choose patience where reaction would be easier, something stabilizes beyond you. When you choose honesty where distortion would benefit you, something recalibrates. When you choose compassion without applause, something heals that you may never see directly. You are not here to save the world. You are here to remain yourself in it. And that is rarer than heroics. That is more disruptive than force. That is what cannot be replaced once lost. Your presence is proof that coherence is still possible, that humanity has not fully surrendered to corrosion, that essence can survive pressure without mutating. You were never overlooked. You were being confirmed. And now that confirmation has consequences, not for your ego, but for your trajectory. Stay grounded, stay honest, stay kind without being foolish, stay open without being unprotected. You are not weak for refusing to become corrupted. You are structurally strong in a way that systems built on manipulation cannot compete with. This is not the end of something. It is the stabilization of what has always been true about you. And now, finally, the environment is beginning to respond accordingly. What unfolds next is not louder, not more dramatic, and not designed to impress anyone watching from the outside. In fact, if someone were to look at your life casually, they might miss it completely, and that is intentional. Because what is happening now operates beneath appearances, beneath labels, beneath public recognition. The most decisive shifts in existence rarely announce themselves. They settle in quietly, restructure foundations, and only later become visible through outcomes that seem sudden to those who weren't paying attention. You are entering that phase now. Until this point, your life was shaped largely by resistance. Not resistance you created, but resistance you were placed inside of. You learned to navigate pressure without losing yourself. You learned to carry weight without becoming heavy. You learned to endure misunderstanding without hardening your heart. Those lessons were not random character-building exercises. They were calibration. You were being trained to hold clarity in environments designed to distort it. And now that calibration is complete, something important changes. You are no longer primarily reacting. You are beginning to influence. Influence, in its truest form, does not look like control. It does not demand agreement. It does not force outcomes. It alters probability. It changes how situations resolve themselves around you. This is why you may notice that conflicts no longer escalate the way they used to. Tension dissipates before becoming destructive. People reveal themselves faster in your presence. Truth surfaces without interrogation. This is not because you are doing anything new. It is because your internal coherence has reached a point where distortion cannot maintain itself nearby for long. There is a reason people sometimes feel exposed around you without you saying a word. A reason conversations shift when you enter a room. A reason some are drawn to you and others instinctively keep their distance. You are not projecting judgment. You are reflecting consistency. And consistency has a way of making misalignment uncomfortable. This is not a flaw, it is a signal. It tells you who can walk with you into what comes next and who cannot. As this influence strengthens, you may feel an internal adjustment taking place. A subtle but unmistakable narrowing of tolerance for what drains you. You will find yourself less willing to explain yourself, less inclined to overextend, less tempted to carry what is not yours. This is not selfishness. It is stewardship. When something becomes valuable, it must be protected differently. You are learning to protect your energy without losing your compassion. That balance is rare, and it marks maturity. You will also notice that your intuition sharpens in ways that feel almost inconvenient at first.